I feel like I haven't looked at you all day. Like I've been around you.
You told me I was handsome today.
I did.
So
That was
you
today.
clearly looked at me because you don't say that every day.
That was today.
He was like, "Why are you so handsome?"
Yeah, you had just gotten out of the shower. You were wearing some nice glasses, a white tee, crisp.
Even though we be around the house, I still be trying to,
You do. You put
trying to
on. You
work
put on
it.
your. If you're wearing
Yeah.
gold, you stay with the gold. I was like, "Where is he going?"
Keep it real. I try to make it look like I'm going somewhere. That's what I try to make it look like. But I'll even match my jewelry. I get my bracelet match with my.
Right.
I edge up my mustache. You know what I'm saying? And then I try to walk past her.
Is that
And
what you
she'll be
did?
like,
Right. Where are you going?
I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. I'm just trying to look good. You know what I'm saying? Try to
Right.
keep this, kingdom. Anyways, man, welcome back, everybody. Um, we had a crazy week. So
Oh
did
man.
we miss last week? We just missed last week.
We.
Man,
Where were we last
man, we
Thursday?
was in Nashville.
Last Thursday? No.
No, we were planning on shooting Friday, and we had an emergency.
Completely. I mean, we still recorded, but maybe for a different audience.
Yeah, you think?
I don't know. You
Like
guys might
maybe
be
we might slide
interested.
some of that footage up in here, showing what we did.
Right.
What you think?
Maybe just a clip because
Man, y'all. Anyways, you know how we do. We get started with all the personal stuff, and then we start talking. And I know we need to get into it, but last week we did miss. We had to evict a rental tenant, and it was kind of emergent, and it would just be a long story to get into why we had to actually. The house is in Nashville, so we had to drive from Atlanta to Nashville, like at last moment's notice, to physically take the person's stuff out of the house and then clean the house, and we just had a lot of stuff to do, and we were planning on shooting that day. We ended up spending the night out there, waking up, working more, and then coming back the next night. So it just got by us, and so then this week just went.
right.
So here we are. It's like, man, are we supposed to shoot tonight? Like, it's Thursday?
I feel like I'm still there because we're still trying to get the house in order
Yeah.
and fix everything that they.
Yeah. It wasn't a good
Destroyed.
situation. Like, it was like, but man, you know what? I think it's worth sharing. I feel the Lord on it. Because on the way back, I'm like, Lord, why do we have to go through that? Like, why did
Right.
we physically, personally have to, as the owners, go down there ourselves and remove the stuff and then clean up? And he showed me that anything that is attached to you, anything that you own, it is connected to you. And if you're in covenant with him, like, you're bringing that into the relationship. And I didn't realize that, or I just hadn't really considered it. It just was a rental property, and it was like, oh, they paying the mortgage, and that's all that matters. As long as that mortgage gets paid, then I'm cool. Even if we was just breaking even. You know what I'm saying? We weren't making no money off of this spot. It's kind of one of them things where you flip it, when it's time to flip, you get paid, And so I hadn't really considered the spiritual ramifications behind who you allow to live under your roof. And so that's just a whole another spiritual warfare, spiritual principle, spirit realm type of teaching. But who you allow in your rental property, if you own it, that counts as if they're like living under my roof here. And me being the priest of my home, I'm responsible for what I allow under my roof. And what I allow under my roof, I allow access to my family. And so if you own property, what you allow under those roofs, you're allowing access to your house, to your bloodline. That's, like I said, that could be a cool teaching. That could be something to get off into. But that's not what we're here for tonight. But the Lord was showing me that I had neglected my spiritual responsibility over that property, and I had just treated it like a flip or just a piece of rental property when I hadn't really considered who I had living in there. And man, who I had living in there was definitely not very responsible of me. And so, and it's something that you kind of leave up to property management. But when you're in the kingdom, like there are just things that you got to pay attention to. And so I had not really paid attention to what I allowed under my roof. And he wanted us to see it with our own eyes.
To touch it with their own hands.
Jesus. I think you're going to have to give me some of that footage from your camera so I can show them what we're talking about. But wow. If you see who we let under our roof, then you can see that there were probably some spiritual ramifications and manifestations that we probably had to deal with that we probably didn't even know where it may have been coming from. And we got to see for ourselves. And I had to walk around that house, lay hands, anoint the house, pray over it, take back spiritual jurisdiction over the house. Like that's really why he wanted me to go there. And so it was just a great lesson to learn and to realize that everything that he gives you and you steward, you have to just take account on what you're bringing under your roof. And so when Abraham, when he signed up for covenant with God, he was basically saying like everybody, everything under your jurisdiction, your dog, your cat, your slave, whether you pay for them or not, like everybody and everything under this roof is accountable and must be brought into covenant. And so it's just something that you got to think about. Like if you guys have rental property, anything you own, it's tied to you spiritually. And so those people were tied to us spiritually. And so, yeah, we're going to show you some footage just so that it doesn't seem like I'm just blabbing, before we get into our content tonight. But I mean, what did you feel like you learned, or how you had your mind blown, or what do you take away from the trip?
It was very sudden.
Sudden, yeah, that's
It was very sudden. The call that we got. So, make it short, they left everything, including their dogs, two dogs,
beautiful pit bulls.
So big dogs, strong dogs. So you could imagine what kind of damage they could have done. But they left everything. I would be shocked if they took a backpack with them. And so I knew this because the sheriff actually called us and said, he kind of described the situation and was like, it's bad down here. Like you guys would need about 4 or 5 people to help you empty the house. So I'm thinking all this. I'm thinking, I don't know many people in this area. I don't know who to call for help because I had been trying to get help, but I'm not familiar with the area. And plus, it was a holiday weekend. So
right.
The people
Memorial.
that I did reach out to were like, we're on vacation, we're off, so we couldn't find any help.
Yeah.
So I'm driving to Nashville, trying to figure out in my mind, like, how are we going to do this? It's a full house. It's my husband and myself. We have 2 little girls. Sure, they could help, but I'm trying to think, like, where are we going to find help? And we think we have an idea. We could find day laborers, Home Depot, like we do in California. I'm Mexican, so I'm used to having hands. I'm used to having people, like, help and accessible. And so I'm heading there, and I just remember there was a moment where I felt the heaviness of loneliness. And I didn't let the thoughts like linger, but I still felt it.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I was going to cry, and he's like, just, you can if you want to, but he didn't let me. And so I was just driving. We were close to the home when I was feeling this, and I was like, well, this is it. It's us, like we're in a whole region of the country and I have no one. Whereas, I have a big family, and in 5 minutes I could get 30 people to show up, and I felt that void, like for a first time, I haven't experienced that in a long time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, Lord, like I've sacrificed so much. But we had to get it done. It's one of those things that you just have to walk through. So we went, we got there, we got it done. And I felt, as soon as we got there, like his grace just overcame us. Cause we all just started, like, even the girls had a grace over them. Like they just started moving. We got trash bags. We started emptying things out, throwing in there where they were grinding. Like they were helping me. They were helping you. Everyone was moving. And so, 4 hours in, a lot of it was almost empty. Um, we got rest, came back the next day, got everything done. We were able to leave the property completely empty.
Yeah.
And so now I'm driving back. So now we have experienced it. Now we've gone through it. And all I kept feeling was and hearing wasn't my grace sufficient?
Mm.
And it was in that moment I was like, I was never alone.
Mm.
How I had felt, how, the voices start coming in and you're just like, it's empty. And he's like, is it my grace always sufficient? And I almost felt like this like rush in me, like from just doing all that work and cleaning, and that I'm like, it was more than I needed.
Mm.
I feel like I'm going home with some and I'm still using it, trying to get the property right. And it was like, I couldn't deny it. And I was like, yes, your grace was more than sufficient to go through
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Even though it was scary and we had no idea we were going to go through. And we were driving there for 4 hours. Like, what are we about to face? What do we have to do? And we came back after the fact. And it's just like, why do we keep doing that? Like, isn't his grace always sufficient?
Mm. What's crazy is that you were saying how you had that moment where you felt like you could cry. And like I had that moment. And I know not everyone knows that we moved here from California, where that's where all our family is. They're all out there. And I'm here in Atlanta, but I have a brother in Nashville. So it was kind of like I got a little family, you know what I'm saying, in Nashville. So, but I lost my little brother. He passed away in February this year. And so we're driving out there to where, like, now it's like I was feeling the same thing she was feeling. I was feeling like, wow, we're alone. And I started to not really choke up, but it was kind of like, I forgot what movie this comes from, but I started like feeling that, like beating my chest, like, oh man, I think it's New Jack City. But I was just like, man, we all we got.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at my wife, I'm looking at my little girls in the back, like, yo, we all we got. And it was like I don't know if I was just trying to tough it out or what it was, but I felt emotional in it. It was kind of like I was going into a football game and just trying to charge up the guys. And it was like, we all we got, we all we got. And, and we know that we have the Lord on our side, and we know we're coming into Nashville with favor. And so things are going to work out. And I just had that feeling from the moment we left the house. Like, yo, we got this. I know that my girls are excellent at helping when we come home from Costco and we got a million things to bring in. Them girls be working. And so I know the Mexican coming out of them when we grinding like that. And so I'm just like knowing that when we get to Nashville, instead of bringing things in the house, they're going to take things out of the house. And so the whole way up there, I'm like, yeah, we got this. But like you said, there just was this void. My brother's not here no more, and so it was empty. It was different. And going out there was just like, man, we are all we got. And I'm like, is this what he's trying to show me? And so that's where I was with it. I wasn't even, on the my grace is sufficient yet. It was kind of like, what are we doing? What are you showing me? Are you showing me that, I'm out here isolated and I don't have anybody? Are you showing me the sacrifice that we made to leave everything from California? And I just kind of was just seeing that and just realizing we're all we got. But even in that moment, I was feeling encouraged. Like, it wasn't a negative. I was looking at my wife and like, yo, she capable, she's strong. My kids is handling business. And so I felt like, man, this Dossman unit is strong. And we coming into town, we going to handle business and get out. You know what I mean? But it just kept coming across my ear like, yo, you don't have nobody. Like,
Yeah.
if we was in LA, my wife could get 30 people. I promise you I could get some people. You know what I'm saying? We could all make some phone calls and some texts and have help. But just don't have it like that out here in the South. And so it just, we felt the type of way about it, as you can see. You know, it was an emotional moment to realize that we definitely had to depend on his grace, and in his grace being sufficient, just to speak to the favor
Yeah.
that we had that weekend.
Yeah.
Man, yo, favor is another level of currency in the kingdom of God. And we didn't plan on even going here, y'all.
Right.
I believe that this is where we are. But so many times we ask him for money. We ask him for mammon. We ask him for another God, literally another God, to solve the problem that we have, not realizing that there are hundreds of other ways that he can solve our problem. But when we just specifically say, Lord, I need $500 to have this, you know, this page so that the junk man can come and handle this for me. When the truth is that if you have favor, what if the junk man comes and he only charges you $50?
All right.
Like, that's favor. And so I believe that we're in this season of favor and we're seeing how favor is a currency. And just a tip, like, ask for favor. If favor is someone, putting money in your account, cool. But when you ask for money, typically you're limiting him and tying his hand, and you're asking for another God to help you, or you're saying, like, I need another God to help my situation. And so favor has been such a blessing. From the moment we got there, we had favor with the sheriff. We had favor with the neighbors. The neighbors came through and was like, yo, what y'all doing? I was just like, yo, this stuff, if y'all want it, you can go through it, have a ball. And the neighbors came and just savage, just
Yeah.
went crazy.
Right.
To,
Furniture.
the more they take, the less we have to pay to be taken away. And so they blessed us by taking so much stuff that, yeah, we ended up getting favor from the junk guy because he charged us maybe a quarter of what we was expecting.
Man.
And so the fact that, my bill is 400 instead of 1,500, like, that's favor. So I'm not asking him to give me $1,500. I asked him for favor, and that's what happened. I asked him for favor, and I got all these people to come take this stuff away so I don't have to pay for it to go away. And so he just keeps showing me how favor is such a more flexible and dynamic currency in the kingdom, that he's just showing me more and more how it works. And so I was just grateful that weekend. Where else did we get favor? I feel like favor was coming on me on stuff that I had never done before. I don't even know if I never changed the lock before.
You were talking like you did.
I know. Maybe
Yeah,
that's,
I'm gonna go to Lowe's and they have
yeah.
double.
Yo, favor was strong, y'all. So I went to Lowe's and got 2 sets of locks. I changed out locks on 2 different doors. I'm talking deadbolt, regular joint. And I'm like doing it like it didn't take me longer than anybody else who would have been experienced. Like, I was changing locks out like it was nothing. It just wasn't nothing we couldn't do.
Right.
And that's when he says, my grace is sufficient. Like, we had been graced with just ability as if, like, this was our business.
Right. It felt that way.
Yeah, and we was almost on some, like, yo, we need to start a business. Like, yo, we doing something here,
Right.
But that was favor.
Yeah.
And so that was his grace. Favor comes from his grace. And so his grace was definitely sufficient. He can enable you to do whatever it is that you need to do and handle the business that you need to handle. But the favor that was on us, we went to like a little taco stand.
Right.
And, my wife started talking Spanish with the person across the counter, and there's just immediate little click. And the lady brought us our food, and she said something.
She's like, "Oh, I didn't even ask. I didn't even catch it." She said, I charged you for 3
Combos.
combos. She's like, so I'm gonna refund you one because we had ordered two. She's like, but I'm still gonna give you the third combo, which was amazing because by the time we finished that night, like it was dark, it was late, and we came back to the hotel and the girls like
I'm hungry
devoured
again.
it. So we needed that plate.
Yeah.
We needed that, and it was like a full meal, like sides and everything. So it turned out to be such a blessing.
And we're also noticing that when you appreciate and name it, like when you identify, like, yo, this is favor,
Right.
like it comes, like you get more. Gratitude always brings more. And so even though it might seem like a little thing, like just having an extra plate for free, like it's still favor and it's him. It's supernatural. It's divine. So there's a reason for it. Identifying it and being grateful for it will just only attract more. And so it's imagine favor is dollars or currency in the kingdom. Like you really got to keep your eyes open because he's always dropping it on you. And a lot of times we take things for granted, you know. But yeah, there was favor in. I mean, I felt like there was just everything we were walking through. There was just favor, and he was just carrying us. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I just see his hand even in my confusion in not being able to find help. I was like, what is happening? Like what like really felt that way. Like I couldn't find anyone. I was searching on the Nextdoor app. I was, searching just different avenues, like where to get help. We went to Home Depot out there. We asked for people. I asked the lady behind the counter. Like
yeah.
it was just like there's got to be someone willing. I texted, someone in the area was like, I'm willing to do everything and nothing. And once you go through it, you realize like he wanted to show you. He wanted to show you his hand. He wanted to show you his faithfulness and his goodness. Because if we would have had that, we wouldn't have experienced all the grace that he gave us to be able to do it ourselves. And you could miss that by just being upset that you didn't get the help that you thought you needed.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a word I got just this week. This week I was just realizing that sometimes you just have to go through it. And I'm grateful that Jesus didn't call the legions of angels, to stop him from having to go through that sacrifice for us. He had to go through it. And so then it kind of brings me to, what I originally wanted to talk about tonight. And that is, when you're waiting on him and, just like you guys, we made ourselves vulnerable last week, just kind of speaking on how, we're coming to him like, hey, what's next? And just going into the closet, just really petitioning the Father about what's next for us. And it just always seems that his voice can get quiet when it's time to go through something. And it's just always interesting because it's always quiet also when he's about to do something. So he gets quiet when you're about to go through something, but he's also quiet because he's about to do something or he's already doing something and we just can't see it. And so I think about what we deal with or what we're going through mentally when his voice goes quiet. What is it like, you guys, when you getting all the revelation and you hearing him and he talking and he all in your ear in the closet, and then all of a sudden, when things get tight, you just like, yo, where do you go? And so one thing that I think about is there are other reasons why his voice could get silent. Like you might be in disobedience. He may have given you a directive or a step and you still haven't taken it. And because he's a God of order, he might not speak until. And then I thought about Jacob. Like, I don't know if you guys realize this, but when Reuben slept with Jacob's wife, Reuben's son, his son Reuben, he didn't forgive him.
Yeah.
And Jacob didn't hear or have an encounter with God for it was like 25 years had went by. And he still hadn't heard from him until the Egyptian caravan came to take him into Egypt. Jacob didn't believe it. He wasn't trusting the situation. So the angel of the Lord came to him and was just like, yeah, you're going to Egypt. But that was his encounter. That was the voice of the Lord just saying, like, you safe, you can go. But he hadn't heard a word from the Lord. Like, it's almost like the heavens had shut up. And so, yeah, you can be in unforgiveness and not hear his voice. You can be in disobedience and not hear his voice. But if you check those off the list and you know that you're in obedience and you know that it ain't unforgiving, like that ain't it. And so then there's another vein. And so one thing I'm realizing is that even if it seems like his voice is not speaking, like pick up your Bible.
Right. Right.
Like pick up your Bible.
Right.
Like that thing always speaking.
Right. But it's
Like
usually going to be
always.
about what you are processing internally.
Yeah. And that's
what it's
him.
going to talk to you
But it's
about.
him.
Right. Because you think he's going to answer your situation, but he's saying like, I'm showing you that I'm with you as you're going through this.
That's exactly actually, y'all. That's funny. Is that I'm praying. I'm on my face. I'm in the closet, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" And he was like, "I'm with you." I'm like, "Word?" Like, yeah, I know. You always, you say you always with me, but you was with, I think about Joseph's story. Like he was in the pit, and it said, "And God was with him."
Right.
He was in slavery, and God was with him.
Right. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
I ain't want to hear that though. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you with me, but this is not that season. Like this is my abundance season, or this is not wilderness. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, I know you with me, but I'm not trying to be in the pit. Like this is not that season. I'm not trying to be in slavery. This is not that season. Where you at? As far as this help, what's going on? Yeah. And he's just like, I am with you. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you. I know you're with me, and that's because I've, me looking to have the mind of Christ and me reading his word, like that's just always going to come up. I'm always going to know that. That's always going to come in my mind in that moment where I'm feeling that he's not. I'm like, I will never leave you. I'll never forsake you. Like that's always going to pop back up. Like that's how you train and create those strongholds, those biblical strongholds. And so that's all he was giving me though. And I'm the dude that I'll go in at 3, come out at 6, and I'm like, yo, guess what he said to me today? Right. Nah, man, nothing. Like radio silence, just what I'm reading. But check it though. I think this is the lesson. Like if you don't hear his voice, like just speaking like y'all best friends in the closet, like you really need to be in that word. Because what he showed me is that is absolutely his MO. He gets quiet when it's about to go down. Think about it. There's so many stories I could name. There's just too many stories, but Abraham and Sarah, like he was quiet for some years before Isaac came along.
Right.
Think about the Israelites in Egypt. Like they were crying out to him for hundreds of years and nothing. They wasn't hearing nothing. While they're crying out, he going to holler at Moses in the wilderness. He not even talking to them.
Right.
And so like Moses shows up out of the blue, like
here.
Like there's no build. There was no build up to Moses, y'all. Like he shows up suddenly after being in the wilderness for 40 years. There's so many stories, y'all. But I think about specifically stories like Daniel in the lion's den. Like he knows he's about to go into the lion's den, and he know he got his stuff right with the Lord.
Man,
like what could have been done? Like God has softened the hearts of many kings. Many kings. Like he knows how to influence and soften the heart of a king to change his mind or to manipulate him to do something. But in this case, a king had made a law, and a king can't go back on his law. So it was nothing that he could have did, even if the Lord softened his heart.
The king's heart was softened. Like he was
he didn't want to do it.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Like And he went and looked for him the next morning. Like
Yeah.
his heart was softened toward Daniel.
So it was nothing that could be done in that
No.
situation. So I'm looking at Daniel like, what was he thinking? Like all the way up until the moment where he's tossed into the den. Like, did he think that there was going to be some supernatural intervention? Did he think that maybe the the sky would go dark and then there would be confusion, or the spirit of terror would come upon everybody and it would be confusion and he'd somehow get free? Like, what was he expecting? Because he knew he wasn't wrong. And so we think like, Lord, you're gonna rescue me in the nick of time. Like that's what we're expecting. But like, how far through this am I gonna have to go? And so that's kind of what I've been dealing with, is how far through this am I gonna have to go? Like, am I gonna have to go into the den? You know what I'm saying? And so we think about that. He actually went into the den. And it said that the angel shut the lion's mouth. So that means them lions was hungry and
Ready.
he was going to get eaten up as soon as he was thrown in there. And I know that because the guys that accused him, they were thrown in there with their families and they never touched the ground. It says the lions ate them up
They devoured them.
before they even touched the ground. So the lions was hungry. So imagine you have to go that far into it that you actually get tossed into the den all the way up until the lion about to eat you up, and then the lion's mouth is shut.
I'm sure those lions were so confused.
Right. I mean, if I was Daniel, I would have just thought it was over.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of thinking like, Lord, how far through this am I going to have to go? And then he showed me the 3 Hebrew boys. They knew they was about to get burnt up. They watched him turn the fire up hotter. The people that was throwing them in burnt and died. Like, how far do you think the Hebrew boys believed that this was going to go before the Lord
He
interceded
didn't know.
and saved it? And so that's my point, is they couldn't have known. Then you guys got to get this out of your head, that those guys aren't better than you. We're under a better covenant. We carry the kingdom. We carry Holy Spirit. Like, there's a peace that there's no way they could have had. And so as noble and valiant as we see these brothers, Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro.
Now we could say that.
Yo, them dudes was probably peeing on themselves.
Right.
Like, I promise you they were running scenarios to their head. I promise you somebody was crying. Like, you gotta realize they were human and they were not full of the Spirit. And so as noble and kingly as these stories make them to be, they had to be worse than us when it comes to us having to go through the fire, or us, the fire being just whatever you're dealing with. And so I'm looking at it like, man, like they actually had to go through the fire. And so not until they get in that fire does Jesus show up. And so I keep thinking like, Lord, how far is this situation supposed to go? How am I going to have to go inside of the fire? And what I saw was that these dudes was ready to die.
Yeah.
There wasn't like, oh, you know what? If he doesn't come through for me, then maybe I was wrong about him.
Right.
If he doesn't go
Too
through,
late.
if he doesn't come through for me, then I'm going to look stupid. Like, it wasn't that. It was like, yo, even if he don't. And so that's when I got my word. It was kind of like, I need to be on that. I have Holy Spirit. I'm on a different covenant. Like, I need to be more gangster than them. I need to be on some, even if he don't come through in this situation for me. I don't need to be on some, like, if things don't turn out the way magically that I believe should turn out for my testimony, I need to be on some, you know what? And this is where I'm at, y'all. He don't have to do another thing. Like, he died for my sins, and I have eternal life. Mic drop. Like, that's where I'm at. Mic drop. He died for my sins, and there's nothing else he owes me. But because I'm his son,
Right.
I do have an expectation.
Right.
But if he doesn't do another thing, like, that's where we have to be with it. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were at that point where, like, even if he doesn't come through for us, This is where we at with it. We will not bow down. And so I'm there. I'm like, we will not bow down. Whatever happens, happens. I know he's with me because he said he is. And if he's with me, whatever happens is ordained. And so I got to be at peace with that and realize that whatever happens, he's with me. When things don't turn out exactly how you want them to turn out, we can be encouraged to know that he's with you, even in the fire. So he was with the Hebrew boys in that fire, and they did not even smell like smoke. He was with Daniel in that den, and he was chilling, petting them lions. And so sometimes we do have to actually go through the episode, and the situation may play out in the worst case scenario. But what I got out of that lesson and just me being in the word was that we will not get burned, and we will not be eaten by lions. We are not going to die. I have eternal life, but we are not going to die. And so I have to just be at peace and stop trying to just figure out how he's going to do it, what he's planning on doing, his timing. If his timing is perfect, then I can't know how it's going to work out. Because to me, perfect timing would be like, right now, I need you to come through and handle this. Rescue me from this situation. I need that house to be sold, and I need to make a double profit in the next 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the scenario that I want to play out, but I guarantee you that his timing is better. And however he is going to allow it to play out, it's going to be of greater benefit than what I have planned. And so I need to be more at peace with that and allow it to play out the way he has it ready. I'm his son. I'm like Daniel, knowing that I'm in obedience, don't have no unforgiveness harbored. So because it's silent, I'm in the word, and we're going to see how this thing plays out, you know? Was that a word for
This
you?
is real life,
Yeah,
everybody.
this is real life. So like I'm watching my wife, we watching her in the word right now. Like this is like we're both, seeking him and
Right.
praying, and she's all chill right now because she ain't ate nothing today. She fasting. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing, is it's kind of just like, even in that moment, you just you doing everything. You in prayer, you gonna fast, you know, you calling the homies to pray, you in your word even deeper, you got the worship music, like you just doing everything. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is that, like we said, like on the last Bible study, is that he's had this thing planned out generations ago. Generations ago, before your mama was born, he had this situation already handled. And so, man, I hope that someone can receive some peace to just know that sometimes, we do have to go through, because there's just such a testimony to come from that. If I was one of the Hebrew boys and I could say like, yo, I was in fire with him.
Right.
I
Right.
was Daniel, like, yo, I saw him. I was chilling with some lions. Like, you know what that would do for my faith, and how infectious that could be if I share my story. If I was Daniel, I'd have wrote a book about it. You know what I'm saying? If I was the three Hebrew boys, like we would have been TikToking in the furnace. But the testimony will be shared and spread, and the faith will be increased all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
As it is.
Yeah. And so I'm praying that, um, however he handles this, our current situation, is that we'll just have an amazing testimony to increase the faith of others as well. But I just see that when he comes through in a major way, it's almost like when we do deliverance with someone who doesn't believe in spirits and angels and demons, and then they see the stuff in front of them, you just can't unsee that.
All right.
You can't unbelieve now. And so that's kind of how it is when he comes through. It's just like it takes your faith to this next level, and faith is currency as well in the kingdom. but take your faith to the next level, and you can't unsee what he's done.
Right.
And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. I feel like it's a setup for an increase in faith.
I mean, he is the father and perfecter of our faith. And you wonder, how does he do that? It's like this.
Yeah.
This is how it's perfected. This is how he qualifies us, in godliness and holiness, because we're going through it and we're learning so much along the way. Like every day is a new word, every day is a new revelation, every day is a new encounter. Because you wake up and one day you might wake up with thoughts of anxiety trying to come in, and you're just like, you're dealing with that and you're coming to him with that. Another day you might have doubt, another day it's just like fear. And so you're facing each thing, but every day it's like you're coming closer to him, because when you do seek him intimately, like, you don't finish the day with that anymore. And so he's guiding you all along the way, where it's like, I could say, even if like he came today and it's just like, here you go, my faith has already grown so much.
You like, Jesus, I'm good.
Look,
Thanks.
how much more faith
My
do you
faith is
need
on
right
100
now?
now. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in this moment, at this time, like, we've gone through so much already. But it's a beautiful thing, because you could look back, like, I'm sure, you could go, you would say, agree with me and say that you would go back to maybe the first time that we faced something like this in our marriage or in our parenting, and where we started and where we are now. Like, I would go back and face every obstacle we faced
Wow.
to be where we are at now.
Ooh, that's real.
Like, earlier today, I was kind of looking for something in my computer, and I was looking through pictures, and I was just kind of like having knots in my stomach, just seeing memories of us, because I knew more than just like the fun that we were having. I knew what kind of people we were. I knew what we were still carrying at that point. I knew what, struggles we were facing, alone and together. And it felt foreign, but it took me back to that place. And it was just like, Lord, thank you so much that we're not there anymore. Even though it looked fun, it looked like fun memories, good memories. They weren't bad memories, but we were carrying so much inside that we were unaware of. And we just thought it was just life. And I'm like, I would go through all of it again. So yeah, maybe not right now. I'm agreeing with going through everything we're going through now, but one day I will. And then I'll repent.
This is I'm sitting in church, and I just typed this up on my phone, and so I'm just going to read it to you guys. Concerning the three Hebrew boys, said they just had to be ready to die. We struggle to be ready to suffer for what we believe in, let alone die. We are already suffering in silence. We are already suffering in our tears during these moments of uncertainty. Why fear what you're already enduring?
Right.
Maybe suffering isn't what we fear. Maybe we fear that he will not come through for us and we will look stupid. Maybe we will look like fools for trusting him. We know he will come through for us, but when? However far this goes, we will not be consumed by the lions. We will not be consumed by the fire, and we will not die. When deliverance comes, it will be right on time. So stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to predict his moves. Just wait on him, and he will save you. Isaiah 40:31 says, but those who wait for the Lord, who expect, look for, and hope in him, will gain new strength and renew their power. They will lift up their wings and rise up close to God like eagles, rising toward the sun. They will run and not become weary. They will walk and not grow tired. It doesn't say we will not have to suffer or struggle with sitting in anxiety of not knowing what's next. It says we will gain new strength and power, so we will not become weary or tired. Weariness and fatigue are signs that we are not waiting on him. We cannot have hope in him and worry simultaneously. We cannot cast our cares on him and be in fear simultaneously. The only way out is through. These Bible examples show us that faith is not up to the moment, but through the moment. Ooh, that's good. Faith is not up to the moment, but through the moment.
It is.
Thank God Jesus didn't call the legions of angels and he went through the moment for us. There is nothing more valuable in our spiritual journey than going through trusting God in the most trying times. The jewel of such experiences is priceless. Even at the furnace doors, we must find ourselves at perfect peace with God's will.
Yeah.
Yo, we don't even want to suffer, yo.
Even though we already are, we're afraid of it. This is the thick of it.
And the Bible says so much about just suffering with Christ. Like that's part of increasing your faith. That's part of your inheritance. And so this is part of it, y'all. You know. I feel like, we've made ourselves vulnerable in a way so that everyone could relate. Not so much that I have an issue with like sharing what I'm coming to him about or praying about, you know. And I feel like I could share a little bit just so that, like I said, I try to be vague so that you can plug yourself into the equation and receive faith or just learn something, But I believe I had that moment where, the Lord tells the story about the talents and, the manager goes off to another country and then he comes back and he's like, yo, give me my stuff. And, the guys give him the talents. The other guy's like, oh, I buried it, but here's your one talent. Well, I believe that the Lord came to me about my talent and that being, he blessed me to open a chiropractic clinic in 2002. And so 20 years later, I believe he was coming to me to collect, to say, hey, it's time to move into that next thing, And so he does that with, a part of our life. He gives us that gift and that thing to that talent so that you can serve others, so that you can, help, so they can contribute, however you to contribute to the community. And he says, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And now you're supposed to move into this next thing with him to rule and reign. And so I believe that me retiring or shutting down my clinic and moving out here and just totally changing our life and our lifestyle, we're also here waiting on him to direct us into what's next. And so we've been here a year and a half. Has it been a year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
We've been here a year and a half and still not fully confident. Like I've released, since we've been here, I've released 6 books. So like we've been productive, but I know that's not it. Like I know I'm waiting on what it is as far as the direction. Like I'm 47. I have a lot more to contribute and to give. And I was very busy and functional, in practice. And I know that I'm going to continue to do that and what he has next for me. And so we're kind of waiting on that to see what that next thing is. And so in coming here, we came out here with just a nice sizable savings, so that we could be here and live just fine until we get that signal or that sign as far as what's next. And so it's just cutting it pretty close now to where that money we came up here is not as fluid as it was when we got here, if you know what I'm saying. So things are getting really tight, you guys. And I'm still wanting to be obedient and not just pick up my table and try to go on tour or make some phone calls and hustle and see what I can do to kind of get back into the swing of things like I was. I really believe that he has something special for me next. And there's I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm sitting and waiting and trying to obey, and I believe that what's next is coming, but I'm just really seeking him because I want to make the right step, And so we've just been waiting on him to step in and intervene, and we just believe, or we believed that that would happen prior to the money getting low. And so here we are in that situation. And so it's gotten testy, and our faith is being tested, as the month draw nigh, And so if you want to join us in prayer, that he might show his hand, but I don't know that would move the needle any. Like, I believe that it's all planned out. It's already done. You know what I mean? This is more about our patience and our faith growing and us walking through this situation, us walking through it together as a family, and the things that we can learn and gain from it. But I hope that just us sharing our testimony um, will just be awesome, so that when we do have the testimony, you'll already have some back history. You know what I mean? And it won't have to be a 3-hour podcast where we have to tell you the story from the very beginning and expose everything. But yeah, man, just really, really stand in the closet, really fasting and praying, really stand in the word, just staying in his presence, doing everything we can to make sure that our ear is tuned to the Lord, to hear, so that we can obey, And so that's the season we're in, y'all.
Yeah. And it's testing, but at the same time, like I said, because our faith has been growing in this, it's still not. We've had scarier moments
Yeah, I hear you say
with
that.
more cushion, with more cushion.
Financially.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, I was struggling. I remember me coming. I'm very I'm a very jump in and control type of was.
Yeah.
You definitely had to heal me on that. I'm very like jump in and get things done, try to take control and figure it out. And now it's just like, no, just do what I told you to do and stay peaceful. So it's like I said, there are moments where it's just like, we've had so many expenses with the house, the rental property, or just it's like unexpected expenses, and it's just like, okay, these are big expenses.
Yeah.
Like it's it gets scary in those moments, but at the same time, it's just like throughout the day, I'm at peace. So it's like it's not an ongoing thing. It's they come, but when they come, I'm still not comfortable with them because I know their doubt is the one speaking, or fear is the one speaking. So it's just like I face them because I don't want to linger. I don't want them to hang out with me and go about my day speaking to me, and now they're manipulating the way I see the situation. Like they come and suddenly I'm scared. They come, or suddenly I'm like anxious, but then I deal with it, like I'll go into the closet, I'll come to you, I'll rebuke it, I'll take those thoughts captive.
Yeah, captive for sure.
Like, so it's just like, it's said, like there's peace, but yet these things I'm glad we face them because it's something within me.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's not just, I guess we put faith in a blanket statement, but it's just like he's delivering from, the strongholds of lack. He's delivering me from even just how we steward everything, not just money, but time and just stewardship in general. So there's so much that's going on along the process. And it's crazy because it's just like, it's such an internal process. So it's like, it's not like you're going about your day, like narrating, like, oh no, I'm scared, like it's such an intimate moment between you and him.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you feel these things coming, and, you feel Holy Spirit, like telling you, like, that's not me. That's a thought that's coming from the other side.
Take it captive.
Right. So it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like we come back in front of the camera and it's just like, man, like
Life
so
keep on lifing.
right.
Yeah.
And I believe everyone's going through this.
Yeah.
Everyone's going through this, whatever it is, through an illness, a diagnosis, same thing, marriage troubles. Like so much is such an internal process. And it's just like because there's such a war for our souls. And that's where everything happens. That's where our journey is happening.
I think we're all being healed from something, and I feel like I'm being healed from depending on mammon. Like I'm so used to like just having clinic or having like tour money or having longshore money or just the different types of finances that we got used to where we kind of were used to dealing with big sums of money that would last for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Getting used to that versus him showing us you might just be living off of favor.
Right.
And every month, like I just might show you a different favorite. Just there might be a different favor to handle to push you through each month. And so now you're transitioning from having a lump sum that you can say, okay, that'll last me about 6 months and I can plan that versus like, Lord, give us our daily bread.
Right.
Like we're not used to daily anything.
Back from commercials. That's what they do.
Yeah, it's oh.
The light bulb?
Oh snap!
The light bulb?
Timu.
I told you. Try to cut corners, you get corners get cut.
Timu. That can't be.
The light bulb.
I'm writing a review. Oh man, y'all see that? I bet you I look dark right now. Well, my Timu light went out. I made sure I got my wife the ring light from Amazon, but I went ahead.
That
And
probably came from China too.
I cut costs. I've been cutting corners. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's crazy because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about transitioning. From just being used to living a certain style, living a certain lifestyle, living a certain cushion, to where now you're living off of favor. And I think I could get used to this favor thing, honestly. Like, I think I like it. Just because I just feel like there's no limit to it. Like, you
Well,
give me $50, there's so much I could do with that.
I've been promised abundance, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. I mean, but I could be abundantly favored,
I'm gonna share in God's nature and take all his promises.
Yeah, you can take all of them joints.
Yes.
No, I received that for sure. But yeah, that's Timu right there. So that could have been just like I said, me cutting corners, whatever, just trying to save money or whatever. But I believe that he's still transitioning us from what we're used to, because he's definitely taking you out of Babylon. He's taking you out of Egypt. And so the things that you've gotten used to, like imagine the children of Israel, like they were used to things. They was complaining 3 days after they came out. You know what I'm saying? And so we do have certain things we're used to that I believe he's either taking away or he's replacing with something better, And so we just have to adapt and calibrate and keep pushing, But yeah, I hope this ministered to somebody. I hope somebody was blessed by us sharing, our story, or our journey. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really about trust and how it builds, how you learn to trust someone. Like, I trust you more now than I did, even when I married you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because of our...
Because of him, really.
Yeah, but
you don't really trust me.
It's
think
true.
about it. You
It's
don't
true.
really
That's a
you
marriage.
trust him and me. Like
that's a marriage. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That will be the highlight of a
If
marriage
me and him
podcast.
wasn't like this,
Yes.
You wouldn't be looking at me like that.
That's when I used to struggle with control,
Yeah.
because I'm just like,
Yeah.
But once I started seeing you submit to him and him leading you, then I was like, all right.
Yeah. And that's how it works, y'all. You know, I know that we expect the woman to submit just because the Bible says so, but it does say that she submits to the man that's under him, that's under God. And so your wife is going to have to see that you are under him and that you're submitted to a higher power, that higher source of God, and that you are following him and you're obedient to him before she probably would be willing to relinquish that control, that she might be struggling with because maybe her mama did. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, we're responsible to represent in that way so that they can be comfortable taking their hand off the wheel. And so we just have an exchange where she lets me be the priest and boss up, and then I let her drive. So she could still be in control a
I
little
like to
bit.
drive. You're talking about like literal driving. Yes, I love to drive.
Literally, she's the
Yes,
driver.
yes.
But yeah, man, I don't know what else to share. I hope that we've shared enough to bless you, and um, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed your time with us. I hope you and we've gone full throttle with the vulnerability. I believe that you're gonna give me some video to show them our experience in Nashville
Yeah.
and how nasty things got. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for rolling with us. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate any comments. Some of y'all text me, yo, do me a favor and leave a comment. Like that actually helps. Like, I don't really need your approval. Like, no, I'm just playing. But yeah, leave a comment, share. Like that really could help. I don't even know how the algorithm thing works, but that's what people
That's
say.
what
That
everyone
they
says.
say it helps the algorithm, but yeah,
Does
okay.
anyone know?
But so I'm guessing if y'all like and share or subscribe, I don't expect that you'll get like a bunch of junk mail or anything like that because we're not sending out anything, but it definitely would be a blessing to us. And then just keep on watching, keep on following, and, maybe just y'all sharing in the comments how it's blessed you will just encourage us. Because, we can press record and turn this thing off and be like, dang, did we put too much out there? We putting all our business out there. You know what I'm saying? But if it blesses one person, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel exposed.
I'm not afraid of vulnerability.
Yeah, yeah.
What else you want?
Yeah, we like that. You feel me? And so, yeah, we're excited to share. We're excited to be here. I'm having fun with my wife doing this, and so, and we're getting better. We will get better in time with wrapping it up because that's kind of what we're trying to do right now is say goodbye
And cut.
and wrap it up. But as we have our custom now, we're gonna turn my light off and turn the lights on to my beautiful wife, and we're gonna get our what do we call it? Our goodbye song.
I forgot what we said
Our
it.
goodbye jingle, and we're gonna see you on the next one.
I was reading, I believe it was Psalm 39. I'm not sure, but it was talking about King David was talking about there's no rest in his bones, and I looked up the Blue Letter Bible to see what rest meant, and it meant shalom. And so I started going like, what does shalom mean? And it's just peace in so many areas of your life.
Extensive, yeah.
It's so extensive. Like it even talks about
Powerful
prosperity, like even anxiety and that rest in your mind, rest in or peace in relationships, peace and contentment. Like there's so like that word just encompasses like so much rest and peace,
I like how you said that.
Rest.
You said encompasses.
Compasses?
You said encompasses. You didn't say encompasses. You said encompasses.
Oh.
I like it. It's sexy.
Oh. But yeah, it was just like I knew that, but just to get, like a fresh highlight of the word, it was just I'm like, I'm just gonna go walk around saying it to everyone. And it
I was about to say
is. And
that's
it
the
is.
greeting,
That was
and that was
Paul used to
powerful.
greet. Yes.
Yeah, it was more powerful than we even like when we say God bless you. Like to us, it's just like what's up,
Right.
but we don't even realize like that comes with something.
We're actually
It's
speaking a
powerful.
blessing,
Yeah,
declaring a
it's
blessing over
something.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul would declare peace upon someone's place, home, or church, letters.
And
Like,
something was happening. Like there was a
right,
spiritual transaction when he said shalom.
right.
You know, so just know that y'all need to receive this jingle. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say it, like you say shalom multiple times. So like they could be sitting there receiving it. You know, somebody
Right.
might get slain in the spirit, you
Could
know,
be.
when you do it. So y'all just put yourself in a position to receive. And here goes my wife.
It was funny because there was a time when you're just like, please don't sing to my kids. I don't want you to,
Did I do that?
to mess up their ears.
I did, didn't I?
You did.
Was that before I was saved?
Wait, yes, it was.
Okay.
So
I
you've
did
come a
that,
long
yo.
way.
I was for real worried that she could actually mess my children's musical ears up by singing to them.
And now here we are.
And now I'm like
Sing to the world.
pimping her out. Like sing to the world, baby. Put it out there so it'll
Forever.
never. Yeah, it's
Right.
forever. You know, and I love my wife's voice now. That's crazy. But I tell you, man, Holy Spirit changes everything.
Right.
Jeez.
Right.
Can't believe I did that to you.
Right. I can't believe I actually took that. I'm like, am I doing that for real? Can I do that?
I mean, you can. You can.
Yeah.
You know, I think that. Anyway, we're closing with a song.
No, hold on. I would like to add. So
you like to add?
I would like to add that I had to be delivered from that too, because we do grow up. I mean, you're in choir, you're in so many things, and there's always this competition about who has the nicest voice, and you hear people with amazing voices even in your church. So it's just like you realize like that you don't have the gift of singing, and other people do so naturally. But growing up, and still you've experienced it, my mother was, when it was time to sing at church, like my mother does not have the best voice, but my mother does
Kindly
not care. My mother sings at the
But does
top
she know
of-
she don't have a voice? Does she know?
She doesn't care.
But does she even know that she can't sing?
I believe so, because multiple people say it.
Okay. People tell her she can't sing?
It's kind of like, oh, don't give grandma the microphone, or
Oh.
but my mother does not have an ounce of care.
Wow.
She will take the microphone away from the best singer in the world.
That's freedom.
That is freedom. So she doesn't care. And especially when it comes to church, my mom will sing at the top of her lungs.
Yeah.
And I remember like feeling a little embarrassed
Wow.
until I was delivered and I found myself doing the same. Like I stopped caring about how my voice projected.
Yeah.
When I was in the moment, when I'm in the moment and I'm singing, like I don't care how I sound.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. He probably hears me a beautiful angelic voice, because it's not.
He hears you through the blood.
Who knows? You
Right.
know. But it's just like she wasn't performing for anyone. It's like she was given a voice to praise and worship. So that's what she does.
Yeah.
And so I remember like the moment. I remember the moment when I got that freedom and I said, I get it now.
Yeah. That's deep. That's freedom too. That's a superpower, to not care what just people think.
Right.
Superpower.
Right. So here we go. So now here it goes to you. We say shalom to say hello. Shalom to say goodbye. Shalom, may you live in peace. We say shalom to say hello. Shalom to say goodbye. Shalom, may you live in
peace.
We say shalom.
Shalom. God bless you. See you on the next one.
Have a good night. We ever finish under an hour? How long is
Hour 10.
it? Okay. It's not bad. We took a little break.